Right now we know we're talking about Arkansas and Ole Miss coming up this weekend in Oxford at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be a great one between Arkansas and Ole Miss because it usually is. At least crazy means a big amount for both teams, especially for Arkansas trying to separate themselves. So who better to talk more about it than to welcome in here of ESPN, who's a reporter talking all things college football and is going to be there in Oxford on Saturday. It's Taylor McGregor. Taylor, it's been way too long. How are things going for you?
They're great. I'm so fired up for this matchup. I do think it really sets the tone for both of these teams. Look, for Arkansas, a team that's trying to prove that they can rise to the cream of the crop in the SEC, you have to win games like this. So this could really set the tone early. And then for Ole Miss, a team that a year ago people expected to be in the college football playoff, they did not make it. And part of the reason they didn't make it is because of their early loss to Kentucky. And I kind of see this similar to what that game was a year ago. I'm not considering Kentucky and Arkansas to be equal by any stretch, but I just think for them, a game at home, an SEC opponent at night, like this is a game that Ole Miss needs to win in order to really set the tone for the rest of their season and get to the college football playoff for them.
Okay, so looking at Arkansas, they're a team that was picked to finish 14th in the SEC before the year started. Nobody's really given them much of a chance. And if Arkansas loses this game, yeah, it's just, well, you are who we thought you were. You're not a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
You're not to that level yet. But if they win, what do you think that does for Arkansas? What do you think that does for their status in the SEC? I know it's so early, but as you said, winning a big game like this, just how does that maybe change people's perspective on the Razorbacks this football season?
Well, I think one thing with Arkansas nationally, I do think people believe they're the team that can beat anybody. They proved that a year ago. They beat Tennessee, a team that eventually went to the college football playoff, and they had a lot of close games, some big time wins. So I think the national perspective is they can beat you, but can they consistently beat good teams? And that's the question they have to answer. So look, while I do think a win would be huge against Ole Miss, for me, it's what comes after. Can they beat Ole Miss? But then can they also go and beat some of these other big time teams and put together a 9-10 win season in the SEC? That's where you're really going to take the next jump as far as the national narrative is concerned, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's going to start with Taylor Green too, because the guy's been great and against teams that aren't in the SEC, but has 10 touchdown passes. That's five more than anybody else in the league. He's done some really good things with his legs, but against Arkansas State, he did throw two interceptions. Not to say that he's perfect, but everyone's talked about Bobby Petrino, year two of having a quarterback. We only know what we know. He's looked good so far, but do you believe that if Arkansas is going to have a chance, is it coming down strictly to Taylor Green's performance? Is that basically how they win this game?
I think for me, as far as Taylor Green's performance is he's as good to win you any game, but he's also made mistakes that he can lose you games too. So for me, it's finding something in between for him consistently. Does he need to be the guy that makes all the plays and ultimately is the reason they win the game? I don't think that's necessarily fair, but he also has to protect the football. He can't turn the football over because that is how you lose games. So I think with the running backs, the receivers, the offensive line, like look, it is a team sport for a reason, but for Talon, he has to make good decisions to be able to keep Arkansas in games.
Yeah, to me, it's going to be so much about the offense of Lane Kiffin's offense, Bobby Petrino's offense, and how they match up against each other. But it's also about if those defenses can stop them. And I think, in most games, it's about turnovers and who makes the mistakes. But people have not been too big on Austin Simmons. They've thrown four interceptions this year, but it's still Lane Kiffin. Like, just what do you make of the offensive matchup there? But also just the quarterback play, because that's what Lane Kiffin's known for, is having great quarterback play.
Yeah, I think Austin Simmons is going to be fine. I think he has a big upside. Turnovers have been an issue for sure, especially against Kentucky a week ago. But that +1 run game that he provides is dangerous, and so I think as he gets time to really utilize and grow within his skill set, he's going to be a good quarterback in this league. And if there's anything that Lane Kiffin has proven, he can develop quarterbacks and put together really good offenses. Just look no further than Jackson Dart and what they were able to do. So I think Austin Simmons is going to be fine. For me, the biggest question with Ole Miss is their offensive line. And it was a huge question mark a year ago. You thought they were going to be way better than they actually were. They gave up a ton of pressure on their quarterback. They couldn't get anything going in the run game consistently. So where are they? They went into the portal. They got some big names, but it's still too early in the season to make any sort of judgment on them. They improved their running back room. So that's what Lane Kiffin wants to do. He wants to establish the run and then take shots downfield. Their running back room is better. So to me, that's where it starts. If they can continue to run the football and then take those big shots down game or downfield, that's how they beat you. So look, it's a good team. They've got playmakers all over. I think they believe they're they're as good maybe as a year ago. They just could beat you in a different way. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But this is certainly a big test for Arkansas early in the season.
I know as someone like you who may know a thing or two about Arkansas, considering you went to school at Arkansas, we won't tell anybody, but this game between Arkansas and Ole Miss has a lot of history of madness and chaos. Whether it's the Hunter Henry heave of 2015,
Mm-hmm.
think back to the 7 overtime game of 2001, way back when, 2016, 2014, 2022. It just there's the list goes on and on and on both sides of both teams winning. Why is it that way? I'm always fascinated. Why do you think this game between Arkansas and Ole Miss, compared to maybe some other games in the SEC that get played every year, why is it this one that's always just so chaotic and unpredictable?
Yeah, and it's kind of been that way against A&M for Arkansas too. And I think the thing with Arkansas is they really just don't have any true rivals like some of the other schools do. There's no Auburn, Alabama. There's no Texas A&M. So they have a ton of rivals in different ways. And for me, Ole Miss, LSU, and A&M when I was in college, those always felt like the biggest quote unquote rivals. So maybe there's an element that it's a quote unquote rivalry game, and usually in those games, unpredictable things happen. Um, I think I think they have similar resources, at least they have in comparable years. I don't know NIL situations, that's a whole different story, but I think for so long, they recruited from similar areas. The states recruiting looked similar, and so maybe that was part of it. So yeah, I don't know if I have any definitive answer. Those are just some things I'm throwing out you.
I don't think anybody has a definitive answer. It's just more of I
Yeah.
want to know because it is pretty chaotic too, and that's why. In going into this game, I think there could be some chaos in this one too. So, do you think it's more likely going to be high scoring, or do you see a low scoring? Do you see a shootout? Do you see just how do you feel like it could potentially play out given the circumstances of these teams on paper?
Well, I think on paper you want to say it's probably going to be high scoring, but I think if college football has taught us anything, the first few weeks of the season are always interesting, and they tend to be low scoring just because both offenses are still figuring things out. So I don't know. I think my instinct is it could be high scoring. But then again, I think you have a inexperienced quarterback in Austin Simmons. Um, do you have a really good defense that you're going up against if you're Arkansas? Although you have a veteran quarterback, so who knows? I think it could go either way.
Yeah, I think that's how people are expecting it to be unexpected. That's really what this game has normally been about. Something you mentioned, though, a little bit ago was about the teams that you felt like Arkansas into the rivalry and everything, which this is not necessarily with this game, but we know that they're going to be moving to a 9-game schedule in the SEC.
Mhm.
Everyone's wondering who's going to be the 3 permanent opponents for everybody. Do you think the 3 teams that you mentioned, would those be the ones that you would think for Arkansas would be the 3 teams you like to see them play every year in football, or are there certain ones that you'd like to see?
Those would be the three that I would like to see. I know they've kind of tried to force this rivalry with Missouri. As an alum, I've just never felt that rival. Maybe if it was more consistent over, a 50-year span, we would feel different. So I think those are the teams that I would like to see. But I applaud the SEC for going to a nine game schedule because it's good for college football. Nobody wants to see these 63-2 blowouts. Like, this is insane. We want to see the conference games. We want to see the big time non-conference opponents. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what that'll look like.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. How many times have you been to Oxford in your life?
Uh, Quite a few. I don't know the exact number. If I had to guess, five, six, seven,
Okay.
somewhere in that range.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be there this weekend, and it's been a minute. But just
Yeah.
what do you, the city, for those who I know some Razorback fans are going to go for the first time, is they hear about the Grove, they hear about everything like that. But as far
It's
as everything,
amazing.
yeah. So like, what is it? What
Yeah.
is it that people can look forward to if they're going to be making the trip?
It's amazing. It to me, it's what college football is all about. The Grove is spectacular. I think the way that I describe the Grove to people is I don't necessarily believe there are more tailgaters at Ole Miss than there are at any other SEC schools. They're just all concentrated into one area. So like you overlook the Grove and it's just tense in people and it's awesome. And they have a great atmosphere within that Grove, which is kind of the center of campus. So it's just a really cool layout and it's unique and it's awesome. And then the square, their little downtown area is awesome. They have a lot of good restaurants and the library is the famous bar. I did go there in college. There's like 10 bars smashed into one. And it's just a really cute town. I've always thoroughly enjoyed my time in Oxford. And I tell people who ask me, if I'm going to go to any SEC town, where should I go? And Oxford's always at the top of the list. I say, go experience the Grove. It's really, really cool.
Well, I know that people are going to definitely enjoy their experience, hopefully, at least leading up to the game. We'll see what the result is after. But before I let you get out of here, Taylor, we talk about this Arkansas Ole Miss game, how crazy it is. There's another factor in this that you're going to be there at the game, and you have a knack for making the Razorback football games go into triple overtime, chaotic, just insane
No,
things that
it's
happen.
me. I'm the X factor.
You're the
I
reason
have the
why.
power.
It's like,
Yeah, I know.
why does this happen? Because what was it,
I don't
Kansas,
know.
Liberty Bowl? You had
Yeah.
just madness. Why is it?
Oklahoma State
Yes,
last year was two overtimes, one or
correct.
two. Um, the Florida game was two overtimes. Last year against A&M was right down to the wire. So I know I've been fortunate. And look, in this business, you don't root for teams. We are, you know, we're unbiased, but I root for good games. So if there's anything when I see Arkansas on my schedule, I'm like, maybe this means I'll get a good game, and that's what I want as a broadcaster, to just remain neutral and have a really freaking good game and a good broadcast.
Well, you've definitely had quite a few of them covering the Arkansas game, so it could be that
Yeah.
way this weekend. Doesn't matter if she's in Oxford or if she's in Ireland doing college football games. She does it all. Taylor McGregor of ESPN. Appreciate you as always, Taylor. Good catching up with you. Enjoy the game this weekend, and we look forward to seeing you again sometime this season.
Let's go. Thank you for having me on.